Let me see if I turn the camera and turn it back around. Okay, we live.
You on your Facebook?
Yolanda, what they do, man? Yeah, I'm on both. I'm on Natural Life Facebook, my Facebook, and my YouTube. Prayers up, blessings up. We live. So I'm about to go live, and I want to really just give out game on help some people lose weight. Allison, what's going on? And really, this is we're trying to figure something out with this live too, because what we're trying to figure out is this is my first time actually going live on Natural Light's page on Facebook. Because we got a Natural Light page, and it's also my personal page. And then also, so I'm live on YouTube. Shout out to everybody on YouTube. And then we live on our Facebook pages. And at the same time, we're trying to figure out how to put these links in the live if anybody want to grab a copy of the books or anything like that. So we're trying to work out the mechanics of it on this live. So I might be talking back and forth with my wife and our business partner during this live, just so you're aware. Wendy, what's good, man? Anthony, what's popping? YouTube, if anybody's watching on YouTube, if you could drop a 4 in the chat to let me know that you can see me, I'd appreciate that. Okay, Jen, I see Jen just put it in the chat. Prayers up, blessings up. What they do, Jen? And then I see we got one person on the live on Natural Light's page, which is dope. So you're the first person to ever watch a live on Go Natural Light. If you could drop a 4 in the chat, whoever's watching, if you could drop a 4 in the chat, just so I can see if chat is working on Go Natural Light page, I'd appreciate that. You probably just got to cut that out. All right, I'm coming right back. So, like I say on this live, what I wanted to do is I want to give out some game, man. And also, I want to help some people lose weight. And also, I just want to vibe. And also, I'm going to be eating some of my wife's sourdough bread that she baked from scratch with some veggie soup, actually. And so that's what I'll be doing in the meeting in between time. And I just want to, make it simple to understand at day how you could lose the weight you want to lose while still eating the food you love. Where's your purse, man?
My purse?
Here we go. I wanted this right here. So if you don't know me, my name's Jabez, and I lost 100 pounds, still eating the food that I like to eat. In 2014, I was 100 pounds overweight. We actually took this picture of my family house in Wisconsin. You feel me? And so I lost 100 pounds, but I did it still eating the food that I like to eat. And so now I got to go to help over 1 million people do the same thing. Jen, man, I appreciate that. Jolly, I see you, man. Schoolboy, what's popping? I see we got 6 people on the live on Go Natural Light page. If you could drop something in the comments, swipe left to reveal comments and reactions. Oh, I got to swipe left. So what that means, I got to swipe this way. Comments will appear here. Okay, yeah, if you could drop something. Okay, Bebo, I see Bebo just pulled up to the live on Go Natural Light page. If you could drop a 4, if you're watching Go Natural Light Facebook page, if you could just comment anything, I'd appreciate it, because I want to see is the comments working on the Facebook, on the Go Natural Life Facebook page. Luther, what they do, man, it's all love. I appreciate you too, man. I see a pin just popped up on Facebook. Yeah, so it's there. Okay, bingo. And so, how's the pineapple doing? So the pineapple, I already ate it. So how that happened with that pineapple, our son's good friend, his father was growing that pineapple, and his best friend and their family, they moved to the West Coast, I believe San Diego, but he was growing the pineapple plant, so he gave it to me because he know that I'm on that, you know what I mean? So he gave us that plant, and then they started growing not long after he left. And so, but it was like a little mini pineapple. But we ate it, and we got some new ones growing. Pineapples a long time to grow. It take about a year before they grow, and it'd be like pineapple on it. But you could take the top of a pineapple off and just grow another pineapple. It's a trip. I did a video about it and went viral, but it tripped me out. Ken, okay, I see you, Ken. What's up, man? So we locked in, and so I see the shout out Ken, our business partner. I see on my page, we got the Nicole pinned to gonaturallight.com. Okay, I see you just pinned it. Nice. So we're pinned on both pages. And now the only thing I'm curious about is YouTube. Do you have to pin it on YouTube? The comment? Can you see if you can? Or can you call Ken and see what's going on with my YouTube? page. Because we're good on Facebook, and now I'm trying to see, can we pin a comment on YouTube, or if that's how it works, so I could explain it to people that want. Yeah, I don't know how it works with YouTube. I tagged 2 products, but I don't know if they can see it or what. Like, I don't know how it works with YouTube. So that's the last piece of the puzzle. All right, man. So we about to crank this thing up. So again, first off, I'd like to know who's in the building. So if you could drop your city in the comments, drop your state. I'd like to.
YouTube comment.
So he working on YouTube?
Yeah.
Nice. All right, so if you could drop your city in the comments, drop your state. We about to crank this thing up. I'm trying to see who pulled up in here and put it in park. What I want to talk about live is how to lose the weight you want to lose without giving up the food you love. That's really what it is. So this is going to be like a weight loss masterclass. And we about to get it going in a second, but I'm trying to see who in the building. Dominic out of Louisiana, what's going on? Joanne out of Oklahoma in the building. What up, Joanne? Liberty out of Baltimore, that's live, man. Milton, Florida in the building. Vicky, what's popping? Ezra out of DC. Lena out of New York City. What's up, Lena? Michigan in the building, man. Who that is? What they do, Lisa Nelson out of Farmington Hills, excuse me. Jacksonville. Doneth, I see you out of Jacksonville. Shout out Florida. That's where we at. We down here in Miami. Kansas in the building. That's live, man. And you want to know something funny? Because, you know, we could look at our data and everything when people come to the website and buy books. There's a lot of people purchasing products from us in Council Bluffs, Iowa. I never even heard of Council Bluffs. That's something else, Ken, I wanted to holler at you about. It's something about Council Bluffs. I'm like, what's going on? Like, it must be a lot of my content getting showed or people sharing it over. There's something about Council Bluffs. I want to go out there, man, because it's an odd amount of people that's shopping there in that city compared to the rest of the nation in Council Bluffs, Iowa. I'm like, man, I never even heard of Council Bluffs. But it's like, I'm getting the most motion over there. I want to go over there and lock in and see what's going on in the city, man. But I don't even think I ever been to Iowa. I don't even think I drove through Iowa in my whole life. Which is one of them things you just never know with social media. So anyways, check this out. My wife made this sour bread from scratch. Drop some fire emojis if this look like some good bread to you. Like, this look like a loaf of bread that you'll get out the bakery for real. She's getting better and better with this sourdough bread. She's been making bread ever since our business partner, Ken wife, actually the one that like lit a fire at her. Shout out Exotic. She made a loaf of sourdough bread that was so good, and she made this cinnamon bread dessert that our whole family just smashed. And then she gave us some starter. And you're supposed to, when it comes to sourdough bread, I never knew this. Sourdough bread, all it is you don't use any like yeast. You use the wheat flour and water, and you let it ferment, and it makes natural yeast. So when you put the flour and the water together with the right combination and you let it ferment, it becomes alive. So once the starter become alive, you got to keep feeding it to keep it alive. And so you could give some starter to somebody else and then they could add on to it. But this starter that we got from my business partner family has been alive for years and years and years. And so now my wife keeping it alive. It's a trip, man. Like, I never even thought about sourdough bread. I always liked it, but I never knew like the process of how it looked. Look, I'm about to show you something. And we about to get into this thing. I'm just vibing. Where's the starter at? I wanted to show him the starter. It's in the fridge. This is what it looked like. This is what the starter looked like. So this is a piece that she keeping alive. But what's so live, and so she used this, which and she can add on to it and make it go up and down, because she using some of it right now for a loaf of bread. She just got some out of here. But the point is, keep this alive. And so it's actually bacteria that make the yeast. And so it's like, if you neglect feeding it, it'll die. So you don't want to do that. But what's so crazy is there's places in the world that have restaurants. I think it's one in Italy, if I'm not mistaken, where it's like they use starter. I might be wrong. I think Kendall one told me about this, but I think it's like 1,000 years old. Like, they've been keeping starter alive from generation to generation for hundreds and hundreds of years. And you can go there and eat a loaf of bread with starter that was started like 1,000 years ago, which is crazy. That's crazy, right? So I wanted to get that glass bowl. They were on them glass bowls. Alright, so we got to crank this thing up, man. So what I want to do is on this live, I want to know who is on this live that got to go to lose weight. Because I'm about to break it down right now. But I want to know who's on the live that got to go to lose weight. If you got to go lose weight, drop a 4 in the chat. If you got, I have to get your books. Lala, that's all love. Look, we're actually doing, if you click this link right now, go Natural Light at the bottom of the page. If you click that link, it'll take you to the website. You could use the coupon code live35 and get the biggest discount we've given out all year. 35% discount. If you want to grab a copy, feel free. That's for anybody else. If you want to tap the link, we're working on putting the link on YouTube. But yeah, you can go to the website, gonaturallight.com, grab the book, whatever. You could use that coupon code live35. But Sean, what they do? Yeah, if anybody got to go to lose weight, drop a 4 in the. I want to lose 30 pounds. Crystal Johnson, you in the right place, man. That's light work. We could definitely help you do that. Denise, what they do, man. So okay, so good. So the first thing I want to talk about when it comes to weight loss, right? For me, because I didn't start gaining weight because in 2014 I was 100 pounds overweight. This was me. You know what I mean? So I didn't start really putting weight on until I was in my 30s. You know, 29, 30 is when it started kind of creeping up on me. Especially really more like my late 20s, 28, 29, 30, 31. So over those 4 years or so, I put on about 100 pounds. And it was really like months up until 31. It was up until the year 2014. I put on like 50 pounds over like 15 months. Like I started blowing up. And, but leading up to that point, like having, I say 28, I was kind of creeping up in weight, but I would lose it and gain it back, lose it, gain it back, lose it, gain it back. So I was doing that for some years. And I was trying different things, like, because I was noticing my weight was kind of creeping up, but so I was trying to keep it under control or whatever. So I would exercise and lose some weight. Then I would stop exercising. The weight would come back. I would try eating once a day. I would do that for a while. I would lose. Okay, I see the link just popped up. Ken, I think it's locked in. But anyway, it's on YouTube. So I would lose the weight, gain it back, lose it, gain it back. Trying different things. I tried only eating meat, the carnivore diet, and I actually lost weight doing that. But I felt off, you know what I mean? And then I went back to eating what it was, and you know. But so if you gotta go to lose weight, I will say this. I don't think it's your fault. I think, you know, I blame more the food industry, like the way that it's set up in America. It's not, when you look, if you Google search it, about 80% of this country is overweight. You know what I mean? And so it's like the top of the world as far as high percentage. And so that's not a coincidence. And hold on, I'm putting this toast down. I'm toasting a piece of this sourdough bread. It's not a coincidence, right? This is actually some veggie soup. So I blame more the food industry and all of that, you know, because, and when I'm going to get into the details in a second, but it's like what I learned as I started, because it really comes down to, I started paying attention to what I was eating and I started reading the ingredients. And I discovered along the way that the issue for me was I was eating too much unnatural food. It wasn't so much the types of food. Like I used to think it was fast food was the reason I was overweight. There was a period of my life where I thought fried food I needed to cut out of my diet because it was the fried food that was putting weight on me. There was a period of my life I thought sugar was the issue. I thought it was the sugar. I felt like I needed to cut sugar out, maybe salt out, the oils. You know what I mean? Like it was different things that I was hearing. Gluten. Felt like it was the gluten or the carbs or the starch. Like I was hearing different things along the way. And so when I'm hearing all these things as I was trying to lose weight, it's like, dang, like I liked all those things. All the things people were saying I needed to cut out of my diet, I liked. So Good news, I lost 100 pounds still eating all those things minus fast food. But I still ate burgers and french fries. I just didn't eat them from fast food restaurants. And I'm going to get into the details in a second. But as I started paying attention to the ingredients and choosing natural options and learning what to look for and how to choose the natural options, I realized that was the big issue. The big issue was I was eating too much heavily processed and foods and heavily processed ingredients and chemical ingredients on a daily basis. And over time, it's hard for my body to break it down. Over time, it led to weight gain. So that was the core issue, right? And so as I started paying attention to the grocery stores, I actually talk about this in my book. As I started paying attention to the grocery stores, I realized that about 80% of the options in the grocery stores was leading me right towards weight gain. That's the bad news. It's about 80%. But look at what I'm saying though, and this is what when this hit me, it was like an epiphany moment. About 80% of the groceries, and I've studied everything in the grocery store. I've read all the ingredients and I've studied the ingredients. So about 80% of the options is going to lead me to weight gain. And look, about 80% of America is overweight. So that ain't no coincidence. So I was programmed along the way to choose food based on what I had a taste for. I talk about this in my book. And this is, right now what I'm talking about is mindset. So if you got to go to lose weight, I'm trying to layer information on top of each other that'll really help you right now. This is like a masterclass. This is the same thing that, people have paid me for to help them lose weight. It's the same information. It works if you listen to what I'm saying. So, and you actually do it. So this is what I realized in my mind. I would, because, I lived in different places growing up. Like I was blessed to live in 6 different states. I didn't see it as a blessing growing up, but I moved around a lot. I was adopted. Long story short, I lived in 6 different states. I've lived in middle class households. I've lived in poverty, in lower class, in the hood. I've had friends that were wealthy in the upper class, and I would go stay the night at their house. So I've been able to see households from all spectrums of finance, and also, white households, black households. My mom white, my dad black. I got Spanish friends. I've been able to see all different type of areas of life throughout America. And one thing that I've noticed is the same thing when it comes time to talk about what's for dinner. The talk is like this: or what are we eating for dinner? Or what you got a taste for? Or I got a taste for pizza. All right, let's go get Pizza Hut. Or tonight, what you got a taste for, man? I feel like a burger. All right, let's go to Burger King. You get what I'm saying? What you got a taste for dinner for tonight? Oh, I feel like a sub sandwich. All right, let's go to Publix and get a sub sandwich. Or let's go to Subway. And you know what I mean? If you can relate to what I'm saying, drop a 4 in the chat. If you've heard this type of conversation, and it comes time for what is for dinner, is what do you got a taste for? And then I'll say, I got a taste for this, and then we'll go get the thing that I got a taste for. So in hindsight, okay, Lindsay know what I'm talking. Carissa, what they do? Carissa know what I'm talking about. What's popping? Yeah, if you can relate to what I'm saying, drop a 4 in the chat. Priscilla, what they do? Priscilla, Rosetta, what's good? So in hindsight, I didn't realize this until I was writing my book, and I was really trying to figure out how to explain and to help people to lose the weight, because I had already lost it. And I was already helping people before I wrote my book, but I was trying to articulate it. I realized this about my mindset. I was programmed to choose food based on what I had a taste for, strictly. I would think about what I wanted to taste, and then I would go pick what I wanted. But the unfortunate thing is 80% of the options got ingredients in them that are heavily processed in chemicals. So I wasn't thinking about none of that. I wasn't thinking about the process that this food went through before it was in the grocery store or before it was served to me in the restaurant. I wasn't thinking about that. I was just thinking about how did it taste. And so that being said, I think it'll help to make this point. If you do got to go to lose weight, I encourage you to get hyper aware of mindset. All right? Mindset. This is key right here. And so back, you know, when I was trying to lose weight, my main mindset was, I want to go get something to eat. What do I got to taste for? I will go and get it. But it got into also, when it comes to mindset, I want you to be aware of the beliefs that you have inside your mind. And are they proven, or is it just a belief that hasn't been proven yet? So I want you to be aware, and I want you to think about this with your own mind, and to be aware of potential false beliefs that you might have in relationship to what you're eating and why you're overweight, if you are trying to lose weight. So I want to talk about false beliefs, right? And so, as an example, I used to believe that fast food was the whole reason why I was overweight. Because I ate a lot of fast food. I'm about to get this piece of toast. I ate a lot of fast food, right? Growing up. Because I like the way it tastes, whatever. Convenient, and it was affordable. So I ate a lot of fast food. And along the way, probably like early 2000s, I seen this documentary called Supersize Me. And in this documentary, this guy went around America and ate supersized McDonald's. Back in the days, you could supersize the meal. They'll give you a big bucket of fries for like $1 more. Back in the days, you would get a value meal for like $5, and you could have them supersize it. The regular fries was like this, and then you say supersize me, they give you a bucket. They'll give you like this much fries, and they'll give you a big, like when you go get the super gulps from like the big gulps from the gas station, they'll give you a soda like that at McDonald's for like $1 more. They used to call it supersize me. And it tripped me out when I thought about it, because you used to just say supersize me. And I wasn't lying. Every time that I asked for them to supersize me, they was doing that. They was supersizing me. Hold on a second. I'm coming right back. I'm trying to get this piece of toast. If you gotta go to lose weight, I'm trying to help right now in real life. Right? So I'm talking about false beliefs. You feel me? So I'm getting a knife because I want to put this on the bread. I believe that fast food was the issue, because in this documentary, when I watched it, he ate 3 supersized meals a day for 30 days, and he gained 20 pounds. He ate 3 supersized meals every day for 30 days, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And in 30 days, he gained 20 pounds. And I remember when I seen that documentary, it blew my mind, because I went to thinking, I'm like, so that means if you do it for a whole year, he would gain 240 pounds? I was like, in 10 months, he's going to gain 200 pounds. In 12 months, he'll gain 2. I remember when I seen that documentary, that's what blew my mind the most. I did the math. I'm like, if bruh gained 20 pounds in 1 month, in 12 months, he's going to gain 240 pounds eating McDonald's every day, 3 times a day. And so it broke down the fast food game. And basically the premise of that documentary was America's overweight because of fast food. And it made sense. And so that's when the belief got into my mind that I need to be careful with fast food. And if I eat too much, I'm going to get overweight. And so I'm getting overweight because of that belief that was in my mind. I thought it was all the fast food fault. Deep down, I believed that. But again, I'm talking about false beliefs. So I didn't know that was a false belief until I finally stopped eating fast food. And I actually talk about this in my book. The night when I decided to stop eating fast food, it was a night with me and my wife. It wasn't too long before this picture was taken. We was in the Pine Island Projects, not far from where we live now, man. We was in the Pine Island Projects, and we was sitting on the bed in the room, and she went to poking at my chest, and she went to giggling. She was laughing, giggling, poking at my chest, and giggling. And she like, dang, babe, you getting titties. My wife in the kitchen, she like, oh my God. She tired of me telling this story, because I done told this story about 1,000 times. And I'm going to keep telling it. I'm going to keep telling it, babe. Because that was the day everything changed for me. I didn't like it at the time. As a matter of fact, it turned into a crazy argument. And I felt like she tried me as a man, but she wasn't lying, though. I was getting breasts. I was getting big. And long story short, that was the night that when I went in the bathroom, I looked at myself in the mirror, and I realized I was holding my stomach in. So this is another thing. Why I was able to lose 100 pounds is because the core reason is because I realized that I was lying to myself when I looked in mirrors. When I looked in the mirror, I was holding my stomach in. That same night, I went to the bathroom, I looked at myself in the mirror, I was holding my stomach in. And I realized that I was doing that to make myself look smaller to myself. The thought that I had was like, damn, I could see on the beach. Like I could see if I was doing it, I could see holding my stomach in when I'm on the beach or if I'm in public or something. Like, I was like, I'm like, you the only one in here, bro. Like, and I never forget, like I looked in the mirror, I was like, dang, bro, you lying to yourself. And it bugged me out because I was lying to myself with my body language to trick my eyes to make me feel better about how I looked. I wasn't even using words. I was using body language to deceive myself. And I've been doing it for years. And so that was, I realized it. And like I snapped. Like I don't know how to explain it. Like I looked at the truth, and I remember I relaxed my body, and I just looked at myself. My stomach came out, my chest came out. I just looked totally different than how I looked before I let my body just sit naturally. And I was like, I snapped in that moment. I was like, that's it. I'm done with fast food. And when I said it, I had the thought right before I said it that I'm still going to eat burgers and French fries. I'm just not going to eat them from McDonald's. Because remember, I had the belief in my mind that it was really fast food, the way that they prepared their food. That was the reason why I had gained 100 pounds, because I was eating fast food 4 or 5, a lot of times 7 days a week. And a lot of times twice a day. I would eat it for breakfast and I would eat it for dinner. Like I might get a McDonald's breakfast and then I might do Popeyes or, you know what I mean? Whatever. I might do Checkers for dinner or whatever. And so here's the thing too. Another thing, I just got this sourdough bread, right? And this looked like butter, but it's not. I actually did a video about this. This is actually coconut oil mixed with olive oil and sea salt. I whip it up. Then I wrap it up like this and I put it in the fridge. It takes the shape of butter and it tastes just like butter. But I like bread soup. I'll explain why this bread ain't putting the weight on me like that, and how I was able to lose weight eating bread and pasta and rice and all that. But one thing at a time. When I decided to stop eating fast food, I made a decision that I was done with it. But while and I had been said that to myself plenty of times. I told myself I was going to stop eating fast food. I would stop. I didn't really want to, but I would stop. I might stay consistent for a month, maybe 3 weeks. I would lose some weight, and then I would eat fast food one day, and then maybe I might go the next day without eating, and then the next day I would eat it again, and next thing you know, a couple weeks down the line, I was right back on my regular pace eating fast food. Drop a 4 in the chat if you can relate to that. Like starting something and then not sticking to it when it comes to eating different. Drop a 4 in the chat if you can relate to that, because I did that at times throughout my life, and there's still things that I'm doing to this day that I realize I could get better at, and I'm not consistent yet. But fast food was one of those things for me. T's know what I'm talking about. EJ know what I'm talking about. What they do. So what happened was, in hindsight, looking back on it, I realized now that it was hard for me to stay consistent not eating fast food because I didn't want to stop, and I didn't have an alternative that made me curious. I didn't have an alternative that gave me like a curious feeling to see what would happen if I did it, to where it was like almost like I wanted to do it. So what happened while I was able to stop eating fast food? Lala, what they do? Linda, what's popping? What happened while I was stop even? How can I see the last product? I don't know what product. Oh, if you just click on the website, if you click the link, it'll take you to the website and you can see all the products on there. You know what I mean? That we have available at gonaturalite.com. And I appreciate that question. But when I decided to stop eating fast food, I had the thought right before that I still eat burgers and French fries, just not from fast food restaurants. I'll still eat fried chicken, just not from Popeyes, not from churches. I still eat tacos. I'm just not eating nothing, because I used to love Taco Bell. I'm not eating nothing from Taco Bell no more. So I was like, I could do that. I don't need to eat the fast food. I could go to sleep 30 minutes later if I had a long day, and I could just prepare my own burgers. I could make my own French fries. Like, I don't need to eat fast food. So in hindsight, I realized I looked at it different in that moment than I ever did before. When I was trying to stop eating fast food, I knew that fast food was putting weight on me and I needed to stop it, but I didn't really want to. This is as deep as I thought into it. And I used to feel like I needed to start eating healthy, but I didn't really like the way healthy food tastes. So eating healthy was something that I really didn't want to do, because when I did have healthy options, a lot of times I felt like it didn't have that much flavor. And so I had a false belief that got into my mind. Another false belief came into my mind that healthy food tastes bad, which is another false belief. So it's another false belief. I had a false belief in my mind that healthy food don't taste good. And here's the thing about it. What tripped me out now is because, like, right now I'm eating healthy food. Like, this is a great tasting soup. This is great tasting sourdough bread made with all natural ingredients. If we could make processed, grounded up bones and guts and parts of the animal that you wouldn't even want to know, if we could grind all that up together and put flavor on it and make a hot dog and make that hot dog taste good, we can make anything. If we could make some vegetables and rice and real whole meat that hasn't been processed, we can make anything natural taste good. You get what I'm saying? So that was a false belief that got into my mind. But the other false belief that was that fast food was the whole reason that I was overweight. And this is how I came to that realization, is because I finally stopped eating fast food and I wanted to see how much weight I lost. So I started weighing myself every day. So I started eating fast food. My wife and kids, they might go get something to eat. And I'll be like, ask me, did I want something? I'll be like, nah, they might go to Wendy's or whatever. I'm like, nah, I'm straight. I might bake me up some chicken with a pot of rice and a canned vegetable or something. Like, I want something for me. Like, you know what I mean? I might make me a sandwich with some chips or whatever. Like, I'd be good. I would eat anything else other than fast food. Whatever I felt like eating, I just wasn't eating it from fast restaurants. And the weight started coming off me within a week. Within a few months, down 15, maybe 20 pounds, right in that range from just not eating fast food. But then I stopped losing weight. So I went from 260 down to around 240. And then I stopped losing weight. When do you make the ingredients? When did you make the ingredient connection regarding the enrichment process? It does make a difference. I'm telling you, Joseph, I'm glad that you know that, because that's the part that changed my life forever. It's funny, I was just about to talk about that right now. So I stopped eating the fast food. I was kind of trending down. I went from 260 to around 240, and then I got stuck right there. So as the weight was coming off me, I was like, I knew it was the fast food. But then I stopped losing weight. So I'm like, dang, after about a month or two being stuck right there at that same place, I didn't go back to eating the fast food, which was a good decision that I made, because I knew that it had like 20 pounds on me. But I wasn't losing no more weight. So I was starting to feel like, okay, I got to exercise to get this weight off me. I probably got to exercise. Maybe I'm just eating too much. I probably do some portion control, count calories. I didn't really know what to do, but I didn't really want to exercise. And deep down, I felt like it was something that I was doing wrong about the way I was eating. Maybe I needed to cut out fried foods. Maybe it was too much carbs out that I was eating. I didn't really know what, but about 6 months went by. Where I was stuck at 240. And then, forget the day, I learned about the enrichment process. I talk about it all, but it's always new to somebody new. So if you're unfamiliar with the enrichment process and its relationship to weight gain, drop a 4 in the chat so I can see who I can help with this piece of information, because it will change your life forever. If you're unfamiliar with the connection between enriched grains and weight gain, drop a 4 in the chat. Let me see who on this live that don't know this yet. Matt, what they do? Lisa, what's poppin'? Neil, what's good? Moore, what's good? Big Mama, what they do? Okay. No, man, it's all blessings, man. Flash, it's all love. Productions. Okay. Good. Do you eat meat? Yeah, I do. Not like I used to, not as much, but I'll get into that in a minute. But so learning about enriched grains changed my life. I actually talk about this in my book. I put everything in my book all in one place. You know, we've helped thousands of people lose weight with Life Matters, so let's eat like it. I titled it this book, Life Matters, so let's eat like it, because I realized I was eating for over 30 years of my life like my life didn't matter. I was making choices unaware, and I wasn't like I was doing it on purpose, but I was eating food that was putting weight on me, taking energy from me, making my mind foggy. My emotions was not where they should have been behind all of these chemicals and processes and all these ingredients that I was eating on a daily basis. And so the enrichment process is one of them. And how I learned about the enrichment process was actually from a documentary. And I'll never forget the day that I was right there in the Pine Island Projects. I'll never forget the day. And I was watching it, and right in the very beginning it talked about the enrichment process and how you could bring grains through the enrichment process. And it showed white grain enriched rice. And then it showed wheat. And then it showed corn. But when it showed that, and then it showed the parboiled enriched rice. So that's what really caught my attention. It was the rice and the wheat, because they showed the flour, the Pillsbury. They showed the rice, the white long grain enriched rice, and the parboiled rice. So when they showed them foods, I'm like, I eat them all the time. That's the only type of rice I ever seen growing up was white long grain enriched rice, Uncle Ben's parboiled rice, and I personally like the parboiled rice, cooking it, because it's harder to mess up the parboiled rice. You know what I mean? And we used to make like pigeon peas and rice and seafood rice and all that with the parboiled rice. But I used to like the white rice to like soak up gravy and stuff like that. But then also too, like I used to use Pillsbury flour, and my grandma used to cook a lot of desserts with the Pillsbury flour. My mind took me to that. Like, she was always baking cookies and making cakes and all that, and Pillsbury flour. So I'm like, I eat enriched grains all the time. So to explain what the enrichment process is, I did not know this. The enrichment process is an ultra-processed food. So it's a process that was created in the late 1940s to solve a problem. The problem is people was losing money with grains, wheat, rice, and corn. They were spoiling too fast before they could sell it. So that people was having big, like a bunch of land and growing a whole bunch of wheat or a bunch of rice. So they would have a big stockpile of rice. And if they didn't sell it fast enough, it was bad and they got to take that loss. So why rice? Let's just talk about wheat, for example. Let's say this is the wheat grain right here. Every wheat grain, in the middle of the wheat grain, it has a life germ in it. A life germ. And that's the part of the grain in the middle that's the softest. So the life germ is where like natural B vitamins and nutrients and all of that is inside the grain. That's the part of the grain that'll go bad the quickest. It's the life germ. So they created the enrichment process where they discovered they could use chemicals. The man who created the enrichment process discovered that he could put the wheat grain inside a chemical wash, and it loosens that life germ where it can be removed. They remove the life germ, then it's just an empty grain left with nothing in it. It's just an empty calorie. They call it empty calories. It's just empty. You know what I'm saying? So then there's no nutrients left in it, so it's just an empty shell. So the do is they figured out how to synthesize and use a chemical process to make a chemical B vitamin like riboflavin. So the life germ, it has thiamine mononitrate in it, riboflavin, folic acid, different natural nutrients is inside every life germ. They remove the natural nutrients and they add synthetic nutrients to replace the natural nutrients. The problem is our bodies don't break it down the same. You know what I mean? Our body's looking at us like we eating anything we can get our hands on. And so what our body does is it turns a percentage of it to fat because it's figuring that we probably getting ready for a long winter or a long journey or something like that where we probably not going to be able to eat for some days. We just eating anything because our body like, it ain't no nutrients in this. Okay, so let's turn it to fat so later when they're not eating, we could burn that fat off for energy. So that's why enriched grains lead to weight gain. That's the bad news. Here go the good news. First of all, let me show you something. Matter of fact, let me just show you because I really want this to make sense. If it makes sense what I just said, drop a 4 in the chat. Drop a 4 in the chat if it makes sense what I just said. What time is practice? You said it was 6, right? Oh, nice. Drop a 4 in the chat if it makes sense what I just said. I really want this to make sense, man, because this changed my life. Okay, Joy Cooper, I just seen the order come through. It's love. Okay, I see. Lori, what they do, man? Neil, what's popping? Oh, dog, what's good? Oh, dog, that remind me of Menace Society, man. That was a poisonous movie, boy. But anyways, so this is an example of enriched flour. Notice right here on the pack, it says bleached, enriched. See right there? It say bleached, enriched. And so that's telling you right now this was put through the enrichment process. How you know if something is enriched, this is why I'm always saying, that's why I'm always, when I'm in the grocery store, that's why I'm always looking at the ingredients. Chapter 4 of my book. Because first of all, I lost the weight because I became a naturalite. I learned how to choose natural foods, and how I know is because the truth is in the ingredients. When you know what to look for. Right here is chapter 4, is read the ingredients on the back of the pack. That's chapter 4 of my book. So in the ingredients, right? This is how you know if it's enriched. You'll see the bleach flour, then you see the synthetic niacin, iron, thiamine mononitrate, riboflavin, acid, enzyme. You see it? It's right there in the ingredients. This is how you know that this this flour was put through the ultra chemical enrichment process. So here's the thing, right? When I used to see this flour, and then we'll make I would see my grandma make bread with it, or she'll make donuts, or she'll make cookies, cake, pastries, pies with this flour. I thought it was homemade. I wasn't looking at it like she was making an ultra processed food. But when she made cookies, and I used to love her chocolate chip cookies, was the best in America. She made it with this flour. So I wasn't realizing I was eating an ultra processed food when she made cookies with this flour. I thought it was homemade because it's like flour, like we're making it from scratch. No, this was put through the ultra chemical enrichment process. Good news, just like they sell this flour in the store, and in the same store you can find this flour. Look at the ingredients. Look at the difference. All that's in this is organic, unbleached wheat flour. All right, where you going? Oh, okay. All right, man, later. And so look at the difference. Unbleached organic wheat flour compared to bleached wheat flour, niacin, iron, thiamine mononitrate, riboflavin, folic acid. So when they got this flour, how it was, they took the wheat plant, they shook it off, dried it off, grinded it up into a powder and bagged it up. This is natural wheat flour. Flour, they took the wheat grains off the plant, put it in chemicals, removed the life germ, grinded it up into a flour. Then they added another white powder that they brought through a whole chemistry process to make synthetic riboflavin. And then they added that to the mix. And they added another white powder, which they made to make synthetic niacin, added that to the mix. And they made another chemical process to make the thiamine mononitrate, added that to the mix. All it is just white powders added. It reminded me of the dope game. It's just like cut. So when I learned about this, what I did was, I never forget, I paused the documentary and I looked in the pantry to see what I was eating that was made with this enriched flour. And I encourage you to do the same thing. If you gotta go, someone say I thought the same thing, Felicia. I'm telling you, it is the same thing. It's scary, man. And when you look up the definition of a drug and the definition of chemicals, right? And then you watch the way that these ingredients are made, by definition, they're chemical drugs. And so, Dina Livingston, I just seen the order come through. Dina is love. And so, when I learned about it, right, I never forget, I paused the documentary because I was like, dang, let me go look and see. Because it was saying to read the ingredients. So I was like, this is how you'll know if something was made with the enriched grains. I paused it. I went in the pantry. We had the long grain white enriched rice. Same thing with the rice. It's going to show it in the ingredients. Thiamine mononitrate, folic acid, riboflavin, niacin. It'll be right there in the ingredients. We had the long grain enriched white rice. We had the parboiled enriched rice. The flour that we was eating was enriched. The pancake mix that we was using, that you just add water and you whip it up for the pancakes, enriched. The bread that I was eating, I thought I was doing good because I was eating Nature's Own honey wheat bread. I thought I was doing good. I was eating the honey wheat bread. But even the honey wheat bread is like misleading marketing because they're still using the enriched flour, but then they a little bit of whole wheat too. But they use more enriched flour than whole wheat flour. So that's when I peeped that for the first time. I'm like, oh, they think they slick. They got me. I didn't know. So I'm like, dang, I remember I pulled the bread out the pan. The grits that we was eating, we would eat the Quaker grits. Those was put through the enriched process. We had Oreo cookies in there. I used to love Oreo cookies and Chips Ahoy and all of that. All of those was made with enriched flour. We used to keep the Little Debbie snacks on deck. You know, Little Debbie, that's a hood classic. You can go to the corner store and get them Little Debbie snacks. We used to get them for $0.25. I remember when we used to be able to get the oatmeal cream pies. I used to like the oatmeal cream pies, but my favorite was the strawberry rolls. The strawberry and the cream swirl. It was kind of like a Twinkie. I used to love them, especially when I had the strawberry rolls, the oatmeal cream pies, and then my personal favorite, if not one of them, was the honey bun. Drop a 4 in the chat if you know about the Little Debbie snacks. Going to the quarter store and get the Little Debbie snacks out the quarter store, man. I used to get those with the little quarter juice, the little Hugs quarter juice. I could come out of the corner store. Look, I could come out of give me $1. I'm straight. I go in the corner store. I get me a quarter bag of chips. I get me a honey bun. I get me the quarter juice. Feel me? And then I got another quarter. I might get another juice. I might double up and get 2 honey buns, or I might get 2 bags of chips. You feel me? But I'm coming out of it. I'm good. I got a little. I remember them days. I used to stretch that $1 out. I'm coming out of the corner store. All I need is $1, man. But them Little Debbie snacks, enriched flour. And then when we started shopping at the grocery store, you could get the whole box of them Little Debbie snacks for like $1 and change, and it'd be like full of Little Debbie snacks. So we used to keep them on deck. You know what I'm saying? With the food stamps, we used to keep them on deck. Those was made with enriched flour. The pizza that we was getting in the freezer, we would get like the DiGiorno pizza and stuff like that. The crust was made with enriched flour. We used to keep Pop-Tarts on deck. Pop-Tarts was made with enriched flour. And don't get me started with the top ramen. Don't even get me started with that, because that was my go-to for years and years and years. Top ramen? Because I could go and get the pack of them things. I get the whole pack. We used to get them by the box, or at least the pack. You get the pack for you used to get the pack for less than $1 and it'd be like 8. And so you could stretch out, you could eat for like $1 for some days off the top ramen back in the days. They a little bit more now, but they still super cheap. The top, and I can make top ramen taste a million ways. Because I'm creative, you feel me? So I got I might use the sandwich meat. I chop that sandwich meat up and saute it with some onions and garlic, you know what I'm saying? I had the lemon pepper flavor that I would do. I might use the roast beef. I might use the sliced ham, or I might saute up some bacon, and you know what I mean? I did different things with that. I might drop a little bit of the Kraft cheese in there, and just to cheese it up a little bit. I had different ways that I could make that top ramen go up. I used to talk about making a food truck where I sold ramen, because I got a lot of, I had fish recipes, I had steak recipes. For real, like I take leftover, I used to be known for, what I used to really like to do was when I had leftover, like whatever it was, it could be some pollo tropical, chopping that chicken up with the onions and the bell peppers. Then I get me a pack of top ramen. I'm eating for like 35 cents. You can't beat that. Problem. It was made with enriched flour, though. So what I'm saying, I'm looking at the top ramen. That's made with the enriched flour. when and I could go on and on and on. It was more than that was in the pantry and in our fridge that had enriched grains. I realized right then, because remember, if you've been on this live for a minute, I stopped eating fast food and I lost probably like 20 pounds ish, and then I stopped losing weight. I went from 260 to 240. So this is around the time when I stopped eating fast food. You can see how I look. And then I stopped eating for about two to 3 months. I lost like 20 pounds with the fast food. Then I wasn't eating no more, but like 6 months went by where I didn't lose weight. Then I learned about the enriched grains. Then I looked at what I was eating that had enriched grains in it. And then I realized I was eating enriched grains like every day, my whole life pretty much. At least once a day I ate something that had enriched grains in it for pretty much my whole life. And I was like, no wonder. And then I learned that it lead to weight gain. So I'm like, no wonder I ain't losing no more weight, man. It's probably the enriched grains. And then the same thing happened. I got curious. So I'm going back to mindset. I used to feel like eating healthy was a mission. I didn't want to do it. So it was hard for me to stay consistent. I didn't really want to stop eating fast food either. But when I had the thought that I'm still going to eat burgers and french fries, I'm just not going to eat them from fast food restaurants. I went from not wanting to do it to feeling curious, how much weight would I lose? And I was like, I could do that. I'm still eating burgers, whatever. I'm just not going to go to McDonald's. They feed garbage anyway. They taking my money and giving me poison. I don't need it. I felt like I could do that. And then when I learned about the enriched grains, I'm like, I could still eat rice. I just got to go find rice that wasn't enrichment process. I can still eat bread. I just got to find bread that wasn't made with flour that was put through that process. I can still do pancakes. I can still do waffles. I can still do pizza. I can still do cake. I can still do pasta. I can still do chicken Alfredo. Things that I like to eat. I'm like, I can still eat them. I just got to find them made with the natural flour, with the natural rice. I can still do grits. I just got to find grits that wasn't put through that enrichment process. So I got curious. And then I was like, I wonder how much weight I'm going to get in that switch. So that's what I did. And I was myself every morning and every night. I was at 240, and within a few days, my coming down. If it made sense what I just said up, enriched grains, drop a yes in the chat. If it didn't make sense, drop a no in the chat. I'm telling you right now, if you don't believe me, try it. That's why I wrote my book. That was the point in my life when I started to read the ingredients. I started reading the ingredients because I wanted to see that they have enriched grains in it. That's what made me start reading the ingredients. If it made sense, drop a yes in the chat. If it don't make sense, drop a no, because I'm about the enriched grains and how they lead to weight gain and how you could still eat the grains. It's just when I went from the enriched grains to the natural grains, my weight started coming down. If that made logical sense, drop a yes in the chat. Lori, dude, Linda, what's popping? Terry, what's good? Lena, what's good? Oh, man. Fabian say your skin look very nice. I appreciate that, man. You know, my skin ain't always look like that. When this was me, right, I had real puffiness in my skin. You see it kind of in this picture. I had, this puffiness in my skin and in my ankles. And I had blotches, you know what I mean? And this is another thing that'll help you right here. I got my book, Ali, That's Love. Yeah, if anybody want to grab a copy of the book, feel free. You can click the link down here and say 35% off. You can use the coupon code LIVE35. It's actually the steepest discount we've given all year. So if you want to grab a copy of the book, free. So when I was making these changes, my weight was coming down. But you want to know what made the biggest difference? Because someone made a mention of mine, which made the biggest difference that I noticed, that was a noticeable difference, was when I stopped doing the iodized salt, like the iodized Morton's table salt, and I switched it out for sea salt. Notice right here, this is sea salt. All I use is sea salt. I might do pink Himalayan salt. I don't really do it too much, but I would. Or like Celtic sea salt, natural salts. If you look at how the iodized white processed table salt, and they got videos, you could watch how it's made. By definition, it's a salty chemical. And that's the salt that I grew up on. We'll get the pepper and salt package. Or you could get them. You used to be able to get the pack for less than $1, and we'll use those. Or we might get the big circle Morton's. But when I stopped with the Morton salt and I went to the sea salt, the inflammation in my skin went down and it cleared up. Like I remember when I noticed, it's probably like it wasn't no more than a month and a half. I remember I looked in the mirror and I was like, dang. Because that was the only change that I had made at that period of my life was the salt. I made the switch from the table salt to the sea salt. And I was like, dog, that salt had my skin like this. And that's the thing I wanted to point out on this live was the only way to know if something that I'm doing is working is if I test. And so numbers don't lie. And my body don't lie. Like, if there's something going on with the way my body look, and it's not looking the way, like if my skin is puffy, if it's something going on with, if I got acne, blotches in my skin, my body's telling me I'm doing something wrong. And there was periods in my life where I believed that I was just getting bigger because that's what people in my family did at around 30, 35. After you have a baby, I believed it was baby fat. Like, once you start growing up, you're going to start putting on weight unless you exercise heavy. Like, it's just a part of growing up, you know. So it was different things that I had in my mind that I believed along the way that were false beliefs. The only way that I can know if something is true or not is if I put it to the test. And numbers don't lie, and my body don't lie. So along the way, I remember when I had the thought go through my mind, if I'm ever overweight, it's my fault. It's something that I'm doing wrong. All I got to do is figure it out. Where before I used to look, like when I did think about if I was doing something wrong, I would kind of kick myself and get down on myself and I would feel bad. But along the way, I had a mindset shift where it's like, okay, if something's off, and I look at like this in my relationship, I look at this when it comes to my parenting, I look at this when it comes to my finances, I look at this when it comes to my body, when it comes to my relationship with the creator of all things, all praises due. Hallelujah, Yahweh. When I think about all these things, when something's off, it's something that I'm doing. And so the good news is I can make adjustments. So now it's different now. Like before I would kick myself down and I would get down on myself. Now it's like, okay, something's off. So it's like, okay, good. I peeped it. Okay, what can I do different? I got to do something different if I want a different result. What have I been doing? And I think. And so along the way, I realized I was doing a science experiment on my body. And so I realized it because I didn't really like school, but it was one science teacher that I liked. And I liked his class because we did a lot of experiments. Like we used to do all type of science experiments with different chemicals and like we would dissect things and all of that. Like, I used to love doing all of that. And he was super lenient with tests and all that. Like he would take a test and like he wasn't even tripping. You engaged in class and you was involved in the experiments and you asked questions, you get an A in his class. That's all you really cared about. And he told you straight up. Like, I'm not one of them teachers that's really going to be super strict with you with tests. I just want to see you engage and have fun, and I want to see you learn. Like, I want to see you asking questions. That's it. As long as you do that, you'll be all right. So I like that about him. Like, you feel me? And so he the one explained, and it stuck in my brain about a science experiment. And when it comes to an experiment, you got to have constant variables. And then when you add one element of change, and you record the result. So you have constant variables. When you put these things together, you get this result. So you know from these constant variables, you're going to get this result. Then you add one element of change and you measure the result. So now the different result came from this one element of change. And he made it make real good sense to me that if I add two different variables of change to the constants and I get a different result, I don't really know why I got that different result because I did two different elements of change. So he made it make sense. It's smart to do one element of change at a time and measure the result. And you'll know exactly what this one element of change did to your outcome. Does that make sense? If that made sense, drop a yes in the chat. I hope I explained that good. He made that make a lot of sense to me, and it stuck with me throughout my life. And I realized that that's what I was doing with my body. Because the first element of change that I did was I stopped eating fast food. I didn't change nothing else about the way I was eating. I was still eating burgers, French fries. I was eating everything that I was still eating. Little Debbie snacks, cookies, cakes. I didn't change nothing. I just stopped eating food that was sold in fast food restaurants. But I was still eating the same type food not sold out to fast food restaurants. So the only thing I did different was I stopped eating fast food. And then I was measuring the results. I was getting on the scale every day. And I know they're coming down. So that was exactly a science experiment. I didn't even realize it at the time. And then, again, I stopped losing weight. That time period went by where I didn't lose no more weight. 6 months or so, I was getting discouraged, and I learned about the enriched grains. I stopped eating enriched grains, and I switched them out for the natural grains. That's the only thing I did different. I'm measuring the results. My weight started coming back down. I lost another 20 pounds, maybe 20 and some change off the enriched grains. Around that same time, too, I came into the awareness of canned foods, like canned vegetables, and how there's not really no energy left in them. Like when you can a vegetable, the life energy, like the nutrients that can use to like burn off fat and give us energy and all that, it pretty much go away. You could still eat, and it's good to get you through the winter, but our bodies will turn like canned and the jar things. Our body will turn that to fat to get us through the winter, because it's really not that much nutrients left in it, as opposed to when it's fresh. When it's fresh, it got angstroms of energy that our body can use to burn off fat, and it's in other ways. So the more natural and the more fresh the food is, I learned it helps to actually lose weight. I came across this information, so I was like, okay. That's another thing I said, okay, let me stop with the canned vegetables and go to the fresh. Didn't make no other changes, because I used to eat a lot of canned vegetables. Like the majority, because we was kind of geeky, like we'll go get a meal plan from the meat market. Whatever, we might get some pork chops, we might get some ribs, we get some turkey necks, we probably get some neck bones, we probably get some, some ground beef, I'm saying? Probably get some some chicken, and then we'll have a freezer full of meat for the month, and then we'll get a big bag of rice, and then we'll get a bunch of canned vegetables. So we'll get the green beans, the peas, the mixed vegetables, a bunch of different canned vegetables. Terry Pruitt, I just seen the order come through. Terry is love. And then a lot of times for dinner, we'll do a meat, and we'll do like rice cooked different ways, or we'll probably do potatoes, and then we'll do the canned vegetable. That was probably like 75% of the meals that we cooked like that, because that's how my grandma taught me how to cook a complete meal. And my dad too. And yeah, man, so that's what I was doing. But so then I learned about the canned vegetables, and I'm thinking, I'm like, dang, I do eat a lot of canned vegetables. So I was like, okay, let me switch out the canned vegetables. Let me start getting vegetables out of the produce section. Let me see what happens. I made a switch. My weight started coming back down again. You get what I'm saying? Then so in hindsight, when I was reflecting back, I was doing a science experiment. So when it hit me, that's what I was doing. I was like, okay, I'm gonna start making changes and measure the results. Some things that I changed didn't really lead to that much results. Some things did. And all of the information is what I put in this book. When it all came down to it, it basically, the main thing was I was eating too much unnatural food. And I just had to learn how to identify it. So when it comes to, and so another switch I made was with the salt. And so with the salt, I learned this, that with salt, when you read the ingredients, right, and you see salt in the ingredients, that's the iodized processed table salt. The chemical table salt. By law, when they have to list the ingredients to specify that they use the iodized processed table salt, by law, they have to write the word salt. But to me, that's tricky. They should have said iodized table salt instead of just salt. Like, there's salt in the ocean. You get what I'm saying? Like, but by law, when you see salt in the ingredients, the processed heavily chemical salt. And so in the ingredients, when you see sea salt, that's specifying that it was the natural sea salt. So when I made the switch from the salt to the sea salt, I lost some weight, not a lot, but the inflammation and the water retention of my skin was noticeable. Like, man, my skin cleared up. Like, blotches that I had on my skin started going away. Like it was a noticeable difference in my skin, is what I'm saying. So I noticed, I took note of that. So I'm like, okay, the salt had something to do with my skin, how it was. I was eating too much of that processed salt. What about the refrigerated and the frozen vegetables? Same thing. Here's the thing with vegetables. The vegetables, how do I say this? It wasn't a big difference in my weight. Like, the canned vegetables wasn't a huge difference, but it did have weight on me. And it was more so, it was easier for me to lose the weight when I went to the fresh vegetables. Eating the canned vegetables, it made it slower for me to burn the fat off, because it takes energy for our bodies to burn fat off. I really believe that. And there's different ways for us to gain energy besides just eating, but eating is the reason why most of us get overweight. So I focus in on eating as a method of energy. Fresh fruits and vegetables contain the most energy. The closer that you get to picking them from when they was growing on the plant, the more energy that's in it. The longer that it between the time when you pick it to when you eat it, the lesser the energy that's in it, basically, if that makes sense. So the earlier you can get it in the stage of freshness, the better it's going to make it for you on your weight loss journey. If that makes sense. If it makes sense, drop a yes in the chat. If it didn't, drop a no. Because that really, you'll be surprised, making that switch actually helped me. Like, it blew my mind. I'm like, dang. So since then, I don't eat canned vegetables no more. I just go to the produce section. I get the green beans out of the produce section, get the whatever I'm eating, tomatoes, avocados. I eat different. You know, I get the carrots out of there, cucumbers. I just, whatever they got over there in the produce section. I'm getting that. Yeah. Let me see. And canned fruit, same basic principle. Same basic principle. Now, when it comes to canned food, mind you, that wasn't the biggest issue. It was more so the chemicals. And there's a place and a purpose and a reason for canned fruits and vegetables. I'm not saying don't ever eat them, because that wasn't the big issue. The big issue it was about the chemicals and the heavily processed ingredients that's in the food. That was the core issue for me to gain the weight that I gained, more so than the canned vegetables. But it speeds up the weight loss process is the point what I'm trying to make. You got to look, there's certain parts of the year where you got to make it through the winter. If the grocery stores and convenience stores wasn't a thing like how it is, you got to can that food up, man. You got to jar it up and get it through the winter, and it's fine. Like, that's part of living. If that's a part of the cycle of life, it's good. But we're so accustomed to going to the grocery store. I was eating canned food all year, as opposed to, like, if I was living up north in an area where I'm gathering my own food and growing my own food and hunting and gathering and all of that, I'll be eating jarred and canned food through the wintertime, not the whole year. You get what I'm saying? So this is part of why I think a lot of our bodies is off whack. We just go to the grocery store and we get what it feel like tasting, and we're not thinking more into it than that. We're not reading the ingredients. We're unaware of the process that the food went through before we ate it. That's the core issue. Condiments actually wasn't the big issue for me when it comes to weight. That's now we getting into the weeds of looking at the details too close, in my opinion. Looking at the details too close. So when it comes to condiments, I lost the weight. I was still eating, like, to this day, like, I do, like, Caesar salad dressing. And I'm not saying it's the best thing. I make fresh dressings and sauces, like, from scratch with all natural ingredients. But I still do it. Like, I still eat mayonnaise out of the grocery store, and like Caesar dressing and stuff like that. I get the one that had the fewest chemicals. That wasn't the biggest issue. I like if you're overweight, I like to give the advice to focusing on first the enriched grains, focusing on that. Another thing that helped a lot was to become aware of the oil that I was choosing. Is the oil. So growing up, the only two oils I seen was canola oil and vegetable oil. If you can relate to that, drop a 4 in the chat. They're the only two oils I ever seen. I might see olive oil every once in a while hit the table. Not often. If we was cooking, if it was anything getting fried or baked, canola oil and vegetable oil. That was it. That's all I seen. So I just thought that you fry food with those oils. Those were the best oils to fry food with. And it was the most affordable. So you know what I'm talking about. Vegetable oil and canola. I'm telling you. And so, out of Sweden or Switzerland. What they do, Kayla? And so, shout out Switzerland in the building. I think that was Switzerland flag. Or is that Canada? Oh, no, that's Canada. Canada in the building. What they do? So, I came across the information of the process of making both of them. And because we used to debate, like, the oil was better than the vegetable oil, is more healthy, and vice versa. But both of those, you look up YouTube videos of how to make store-bought processed canola oil and store-bought processed vegetable oil. And by definition, it's a chemical oil. They're chemical oils, and they lead to weight gain. And so I cut them out. I cut the canola and the vegetable oil out. That's another thing that helped me lose weight. And I replaced it with the olive oil. Whatever olive oil fit my budget. I was also using grapeseed oil. Now everybody's saying about the seeded oils and how bad they are, which I believe there's definite truth to it. But when I stopped with the canola oil and the vegetable oil and I was doing the grapeseed oil, my weight came down. So I'm just looking at it logically. The grapeseed oil had to be better than those. I would just get any other oil other than canola oil and vegetable oil. But now what I do, that fit my budget, that fit our budgets. Now, it's the avocado oil, coconut oil, and olive oil. It's the main oils that we use. But that made a difference. I was still cooking fried food. I just used the avocado oil or the olive oil when I fried up. And I like the way it tastes just as much. But I noticed also too, when I switched out the oils, it didn't so heavy on my stomach. It still made me tired, like fried food, even when I cook it in those oils, it slowed me down and made me more sluggish. But I noticed a difference in how I felt in my stomach though. So if anybody got any questions, feel free to drop them. I'm probably on this live for about another 10 minutes. I got to get up out of here. How about this? I think this is the best thing I could do to help. Drop in the comments, if you're trying to lose weight, drop in the comments the food that you feel like is your weakness. The food that in your mind is this that's making it hard for me to lose weight. Drop it in the comment. Yeah, they make the unhealthy stuff the cheapest, yeah. That's the bait. Is that a cabbage-based cold salad? No, this is actually a vegetable soup. And I put some arugula in it. And then my wife made this sourdough bread. And I had a piece of this bread with the toast. Or I made a piece of toast with the soup. Tips for eating healthy when you're poor. Okay. But the poor, big caps. So I can relate, because when this was me, we was living in the Pine Island projects. This was a period of my life when we was in extreme poverty. I've had more than one. But there's always I like to use this terminology, taking a step in a better direction. And being real with myself. So when I was in poverty, I was looking at it like this. Okay, let me start paying attention to how I'm spending a day on food. And then let me find options that are more natural that cost the same amount. And then, so now it's just a numbers game. I'm paying attention to the numbers. I'm doing math. For example, I used to feel like, and then also too, is location. Like, there was a period where me and my wife were sharing a car. And it was sometimes where I'd be at the house, she'd be at work. And I didn't feel like walking all the way to the grocery store. So I would go across the street to the gas station. It was like a little corner store gas station. And so I would I might want to get some chips or something. Where I used to would get Doritos. Like I used to like the spicy nacho, what they call them? The nacho, spicy nachos. I used to like those Doritos and the Cool Ranch. And just the flavored chips. Like I would always get those. But I made the switch to the plain Jane Lay's. Same price for a package of those. And I still like plain Lay's chips. It was cooked in canola oil and it still used the iodized. But it was less chemicals than them Doritos. So that's an example of making a step in a better direction, working with what was in my area. You get what I'm saying? I used to feel like healthy food cost. But I never forget when I had this epiphany. I actually talk about this a lot. I never forget the day I had stopped eating fast food, right? So it was probably like a year past. Because someone asked, like, what's the best advice if you're, like, poor? Which, now that I said that out loud, I encourage whoever said that, if you watch it right now still, to never say that about yourself again. You're not poor. You're in between blessings. That's a better thing to say. You're on your way to, your next blessing. You're being forged in the fire. You know what I'm saying? You're being pressed into a diamond. Stuff like this. Like, look at it different, but don't call yourself poor, bro. You know what I'm saying? Because it's just a matter of perspective. Like, the hard times that I've been through make the good times so much better. To where now when I go through hard times, it's easier to recognize, okay, this is actually not bad. This is a big lesson that I'm going through right now. So when it comes to finances, when your finances are low, it's actually not bad. It's a blessing. And America loves the poverty to riches story. Everybody love that. Everybody respect that. So anyways, when it comes to like choosing when it comes to like having a lack of resources, there's always options better than it is you eat now. Trust me. And so I used to believe that healthy food cost too much because I remember shopping at Whole Food one time and the ticket blew my mind. And I used to feel like, oh, they made the healthy food expensive for so rich people could be healthy and they were trying to kill poor people. I used to think like that. And so that false belief, again, false belief, I was talking about false beliefs earlier. That false belief got to my mind that healthy food costs more than the unhealthy food. And so when I believed that, I stopped looking for healthy food. I just was like, it's out of my price budget. And I just kept buying the things that I wanted to buy that fit my budget. But it wasn't like I didn't have options. I just wasn't seeking them out because I believed that health costs too much. So this is why I say, and I talk about this in my book, we got to be careful about false beliefs. There's always an option. It don't matter if you didn't have money. There's an option. Like, there's always a way. You can eat once a day. You could eat once every other day. You could eat once every 3 days. We don't need to eat every day like that. We really don't. You're going to go through hunger. You're going to go through cramps and all that, but you're going to die. You know what I'm saying? And you could learn meditation. You could put your feet in the ground and ground. You could get out in the sun. There's different ways to get energy besides food. You can educate yourself. You got YouTube. Anytime you got access to the internet and you got a device, you, instead of just scrolling, you could seek out this type of information to be able to save money. So there's countless ways. But when I realized that it was a false belief about the healthy food costing too much, for me, it was a day when I had stopped eating fast food, and over a year went by, and I didn't eat no fast food. And then the McDonald's 2 for $5 breakfast commercial came on. I was driving. I was going to work. My initial plan, I was going to stop at the grocery store and get some fruit for breakfast. This McDonald's commercial came on, and I wanted to get 2 sausage, egg, and cheese McMuffins because I love sausage, egg, and cheese McMuffins, for real. That was like my weakness. And I would get like the strawberry jelly for one of them, and I get a grape jelly for the other one. And I get the sausage, egg, and cheese, and you put that grape jelly packet on it and set it off. And I do 1 strawberry, 1 grape, and then I get another packet for the hash brown. I got me a hash brown and an orange juice. So every time the 2 for $5 would come on, that's what I would do. I'd get the 2 for $5, and then I'd get a hash brown and an orange juice. So when it's all said and done after taxes, I'm around $8 for breakfast, right? So it came on, the commercial came on. I was about to go I was going to relapse. I was like, I'm finna go get me a breakfast. I was like, I've been doing good. I ain't eat McDonald's in over a year. So I was about to go get it. I went to because I was coming up to the McDonald's. I was right down here in Homestead. I was coming up to the McDonald's. That's right over here by the Walmart. I'm coming up to the McDonald's. I go to pull into the McDonald's, and there's a line going all the way to the street, though. There's a line going all the way to the street, so I couldn't even pull in the parking lot. I had to wait in the street to get into the parking lot to get to the drive-thru. So I'm like, man, I'm not finna wait in this line, man. So I ended up going to the Walmart, and I went into Walmart, and I got an orange, I got a pear, and I got like the big navel orange. I got a pear, and I got a banana. I got an orange, a pear, and a banana, right? I paid for it. It was like $2 and some change. Came in the car. I was eating it while I was driving, going to do what I was doing. I ate the pear, the orange, and the banana. I was straight. I wasn't. I didn't. It didn't satisfy me like the taste that I wanted for the sausage, egg, and cheese. It didn't satisfy my craving, but I was straight. Like I wasn't full. I wasn't hungry no more. And then it dawned on me. I'm like, hold on, man, because I just spent like $2 and change. I was about to spend about $8. I saved about $6. I was like, wow, I always felt like healthy food cost too much. That's when my mind went to racing. That's when I went to really looking at things different. You know what I'm saying? Ever since then, I look at food different. Like there's a lot of times the healthy option will be less. When you start to really look around the grocery store and you're looking for the most natural options that fit your budget, you'll start to find them. If you can't, then you can make them from scratch. Like, for example, if I want cookies, I can get the flour, I can get chocolate chips, I can get the raw organic cane sugar, I can get the brown sugar. You get what I'm saying? I could get the ingredients and I could put it together myself. And once I buy all the ingredients that I need, I spent less than if I would have got a pack of pre-made cookies, and I could make way more cookies. So that's why I'm saying a lot of times we got to be careful with what we tell ourselves. There's always a way. You got to believe it. No matter what you can afford or how much money you got coming in, you could always make steps in the right direction. I hope that made sense. You got to believe it. Otherwise, you're not going to find them. You know what I'm saying? A lot of us think like that, you know, and we tricking ourselves out of our blessing. You know, it's like that in every area of life. I've even heard that with money. Like I've seen people, like different posts that I put up and times when I talk about money on lives, and people be like, that's easy for you to say, you got it. But the reason why, when I was in poverty, it seemed like yesterday. You know what I'm saying? Like you can't take this period of my life and all of the periods of my life where I didn't have money away from me. Nobody went through that like I had to go through that. Just like if you're going through that when it comes to money right now, you're going through that period of your life where money's an issue, right? Nobody can never take that from you, and you'll always have those memories, and you'll always remember. The thing is, in those periods of my life, I always believed I'd get out. I'd always believe I would get out of that condition and into a better one. I always did. I didn't know how a lot of times, so I was seeking it out. Everything that I came across that I could try to do that made sense, I was trying it. You know how many things I tried didn't work? Nah, because for real, like, I'm about to end the live, and I didn't even plan on talking about this, but it's on my spirit, right? Check this out, right? This is the last thing I'm saying. I got to get up out of here. Check this. When this was me, this was 2014. Leading up to 2014, going all the way back to 2006 is when I started doing the Miami Herald. The first time I sold something, I was right, and then when I was in 2006, when Jacinda was born, right here, I was like, okay, I got to get some money going. I was trying jobs, getting by the hour, and that wasn't really for me. I kept getting fired or I would quit, and because I'm not good with people telling me what to do. And then so, my brother, God bless his dad, my brother Richard, he was like, oh, I'm working at the Miami Herald, right? He's like, I'm working at the Miami Herald. I'm getting paid on commission. And he broke it down like he was set up in front of the grocery stores and all of that. And when people would walk by, he could get a free gift when they signed up for the newspaper. Kane, that's enough. And when they sign up for the newspaper, he'll give them the gift and he'll make a commission. So he'll make between $8. Like he could sign somebody up for the paper and they didn't even give him no money. He filled out a bill and they'll get the paper coming to the house, and then the Miami Herald will send him a bill to pay later. He'll make $8 for that. And then there's the most you can make is like $40 off one order if they sign up for the paper every day and paid up front. And you'll make a $40 commission. And so, and my brother was a hustler. Like, anybody know Big Rich? Like in Miami, like he was really in the street grinding like all different type of ways. And so when he told me he was doing the Herald, I'm like, what? And so he kept doing it or whatever, like, and I remember like a year passing, he was still doing the Herald. So I was like, let me see what's around the time when Jacinda was about to be born. I was like, let me try this out, right? So I went out there, I did it. And the first day I went out there, I ended up signing something. And then, you know, I kept getting better and better at what I was doing. But every person that walked by me, right, I would approach them. I give them a compliment or something. I break the ice. I tell them we giving out gifts at the table. What you want? And they'd be like, you ain't giving out no gifts. I'd be like, for real, what you want on the table? It's free. They'd be like, no, it ain't. It ain't free. What's the catch? I'd be like, you ever read the newspaper? They'd be like, yeah. Like, you can sign up for the paper for a month. Sign up for 1 month. If you like it, you keep it. If not, you cancel it. I give you the gift right now. Bam. Either they're going to say yes or no. Then I had all the different little tactics that I would use from that point. The point that I'm trying to make is, right, people walking by, I would set up in front of Walmarts, in front of Winn-Dixie grocery stores. I would go to Miami Heat basketball games, UM football, Dolphin games. We'll go to like the Martin Luther King parade. We go to Jazz in the Gardens, all different type of events throughout the city of Broward County and Miami-Dade County. I would talk to everybody that walked by the table trying to get them to sign up for this newspaper, right? I did that. I did petitions. I signed people up for the free phone programs where I would hit the street and I would just holler at every single. I would go into areas where there's a flow of traffic and I'm trying to get you to buy something or sign up for something, right? When I did the math, it's been at least 400,000 people that I approached since I 23 years old. I'm 42 now. At least 400,000, because it was at least 100 people to 200, sometimes 300, 400 people a day that I would holler at and try to get them. And most everybody, when I broke, that's at least 300 and some change. People told me no to my face. So when I think about what I'm saying now, I'm saying that to say, it was where I would go out and I would work and I wouldn't sign nobody up, man. And I'd be out there 6 hours, man. I ain't make no money. And I got to drive back home. I ain't make no money. Them days used to be that hurt. But I just kept believing. Like I kept doing it, you know? And so from doing that, it gave me communication skills that I have. And the awareness of my body language and my tonality when I speak and how to get a point across. Like all the things that I know how to do quickly, I got from doing that work and believing that I could make it happen. And then, you know, it got to a certain point where I was like, this ain't going to get me where I need to go. So I got something else. You know, then I started getting into social media and stuff like that. Like, okay, instead of talking to one person at a time, I could talk to my phone. Like right now right here is 58 people on this live, it's 63 on this live, and it's 13. So that's like what, almost 200 people, you know, that I'm talking to. But I'm just looking at 3 phones. You feel me? So the point what I'm trying to make is, if you're not where you want to be at, the key thing is that you believe you can get there. If where you want to be, when you think about, do you believe that you can get there, and you think, I don't know if I can get there. Then, for example, this actually how I'm going to end the life for real. This changed my life. If I'm right here, right? Let's say I'm 100 pounds overweight, right? And I want to lose 100 pounds. And when I think about that, I'm like, dang, that's a lot of weight to lose. Dang. I might start getting discouraged. I might feel like I got to exercise for 2 years every single day. My mind might be taking me all over the place to all the reasons why it's going to be hard to lose this 100 pounds. I might really want to lose the 100 pounds. I might have a desire to lose the 100 pounds, but I don't believe it. Like it's a mission. Like when I think about it, it's like, whenever that's the case, for me, when it's a point that I want to get to that might seem like a long ways and it's hard to believe that I'm going to get there, I think about what can I do that'll pull me closer to it. So, for example, I had the thought, I'm going to stop eating fast food. And I'm still going to eat burgers and french fries. I'm just not going to eat them from fast food restaurants. I mean, chicken, I'm just not going to churches. I'm not going to Popeyes no more. I'll make it myself. I eat tacos and all that. I'm just not going to Taco Bell. I believed I could do that, right? So I did it. I lost probably about 20 pounds. So it brought me right here. So it didn't make me lose 100 pounds, but it brought me closer to my goal. So I chose a belief that pulled me closer to my goal. Then I learned about the enriched foods. I'm like, I could do that. It makes sense why the enrichment process lead to weight gain, and it makes sense if I replace the enriched grains with natural grains. I can still eat pasta, I can still eat bread, I can still eat rice, I can still eat the things I like, cookies, cakes, and all that. I was like, I could do that. I could read the ingredients and find out what's what, and if I got to make it from scratch, I can make it from scratch. I could do that. I could do that. I believed I could do that. It might not make it to where I lose the whole 100 pounds. Maybe it will. I don't know, but it'll pull me closer. So now let me commit to that. So now I'm choosing actions that I can take that'll pull me closer to where I desire to be. I did it. Lost about another 20 pounds and some change, pulled me closer. Then I started reading the ingredients and I started making changes. I made changes with the oil. I just talked about that. Went from the canola oil and the vegetable oil and all that, and I went to the avocado oil, the olive oil. Made that change, pulled me closer. I talked about the salt, pulled me closer. The sugar, pulled me closer. Next thing I know, now I'm looking at the ingredients and I'm seeing all these chemicals. I'm cutting out chemicals. Pulled me. Next thing I know, a few years passed, I was down like 80 pounds. I was pretty much to my goal, and then a few years passed after that. 2020, I started cutting back on meat and stuff like that, and started eating less and meditating more, getting outside, exercising. I started running a little bit more. I lost like another 20 pounds during the pandemic. I went all the way down to 160. That was the lightest I ever been. So I ended up losing the whole 100. I love my fatty food made at home. So if you love that and it's hard for you to quit, I encourage you to eat the more natural options. The more natural options of the fatty foods that you like. And start there. You know what I mean? And weigh yourself every day. Look at, what oils you're using and, grains you're using, your fatty food options. You know what I'm saying? The sugars. And just start them out for the natural versions. Goal setting is everything. Like I had to condition my mentality to mind over matter to be healthy. And that's a fact. It all starts right here. So my brothers and sisters, if you got to go to lose weight, I hope this live. My name is Jabez. Like I said, I lost 100 pounds. This was me in 2014. And I did it still eating food that I like to eat. But I had to learn how to choose the right versions, the natural versions of the food that I like to eat. That's why I say I'm a natural light. You feel a natural light is different than a vegan. A natural light avoids processed ingredients and chemical ingredients, like how vegans avoid animal products. Some natural lights eat meat, some don't. Some vegans are actually natural lights too. But what I disagree when it comes to the definition, it doesn't specify that I can't eat the chemicals and the heavily processed foods, because you got vegan-friendly options like breads. You got options that use the enriched grains in the bread because animal products being used. And so it's vegan-friendly, but it's heavily processed. You got Impossible Burgers, different vegan-friendly options that I'm avoiding like the plague. And so I see the wisdom in getting off animal flesh, I do. But I see more wisdom in getting off the chemicals and the heavily processed ingredients. And so that's why I consider myself a natural light. A natural light basically focuses on eating natural food options. We believe the ingredients matter. Feel me? If that makes sense and you see the wisdom in that, and you consider yourself a natural light, you aspire to be a natural light, you see the wisdom in eating natural foods, our goal is to make natural chemical-free food the new standard in America. If that's something that you want to get with, drop a 4 in the chat. Let me see all the natural lights that feel like that resonates, because at the end of the day, what I think, the more of us that start paying attention to what we eat and eating natural foods, the more of us that do that, the harder it's going to be for companies to sell us this garbage, man, that's full of chemicals and heavily processed ingredients. You know what I mean? The more they're going to have to start making natural options to provide what we're buying. You get what I'm saying? So a natural light just takes personal responsibility to eat natural or as natural options available that fit their budget. That's what a natural light is. And each one of us as individuals is playing our role to bring about a better America by being a smarter consumer. When there's enough of us thinking like that, the game got to change. It got to change. Judy, what they do, man, it's all love. My brothers and sisters, like I say, my name's Jabez. I wrote Life Matters, So Let's Eat Like It to explain how I lost the weight, still eating the food that I like. We've helped thousands and thousands of people. We're approaching 100,000 books sold. If you got to go to lose weight, this book will help. You can go to our website. We got the links located at the bottom down here. You can use the coupon code LIVE35 and get that additional discount. And just know it's all love, my brothers and sisters. Hope this live helped. Prayers up, blessings up.